Well, Mr. Chhatwal, I mean, apart from getting tips on how to run hospitality sector, hotels and all, he's 60 years, ladies and gentlemen, the fittest 60-year-old I've seen. So a secret to बताइए क्या है वो?
Start your career in a diploma in hotel business. Some fondly call it a diploma in ginger and garlic. They're supposed to be good for your health, if in moderate quantity. And I think it's a lot of work. Hotel business means 24/7, 365 days. Christmas, Diwali, New Year, you're always on the job. And I think that's what keeps you fit. And I think so. Most of our people do look very fit, especially at the Taj.
Okay.
I started my career at the Ashok. There it wasn't the case, but here they do look fit.
Okay. My next question is, we've identified 3 or 4 large trends. These are called as mega trends. Now let's look at where the entire competitive landscape would change. If one looks at the sector which you represent, which is the hotel sector, the competitive intensity is suddenly changing. Global chains are talking about setting up new hotels. The sector is growing right now. So up until now, what in a sense was the sector which was on the back burner is now occupying global headline. How do you see the competitive landscape, which is demand and supply in your case, changing for next 3 to 5 years?
See, if we heard Sunil carefully, I think my key takeaway would be that value seeker, I would call it, you kind of live for the now and not put an additional soul in your shoes. It's people are spending more money, and the generational change is a very normal thing. When I was growing up, my parents came from the other side. They used to talk about partition. Now, when we were growing up, we had those middle class insecurities. So, as he said, India was, in recession in perpetuity, or that fear of, even though it was not, that fear was there. Now we are only talking about growth, whether it's 7%, 7.5%, 8%, or we are surprised now last quarter was actually 8 and not 7.5 that everyone estimated. So I think given that, the sector is very well positioned to experience a boom. But the challenge is, if you've been here this entire afternoon, starting from the first important interaction that you had, following with the other, everybody talks about every other sector, and nobody sees the opportunity of tourism when it is the highest multiplicator of jobs. If I remember correctly this morning, wanting to wish you 15th anniversary, and I switched on the TV, and I heard one of the persons say that everything is fine, but the biggest fear is India going to be able to sustain employment for that demographic dividend that it has? And that's where I see a huge opportunity for the sector broadly as tourism, and within that, obviously, hotels. And, it's all the food suppliers, the milk suppliers, the limousine drivers. There's so many, the airport representatives. There are so many touch points in a customer journey that creates jobs. So I think forget that the feel-good factor. It's a need factor. And I think the more we talk about it, the better it is for India and the better it is for the economy. And globally, tourism pre-COVID created more than 10% of the global jobs. And 1 out of every 4 new jobs were created in tourism, and not in fintech or in tech or IT, etc. So I think maybe because of where we are coming from, our background, we feel a bit shy about talking about hotels or restaurants or travel or airlines. We rather complain about, the airline fare is increased. The hotel rates are very high. The same people go to the US, pay $1,000 for a room for 1/3 of the service level, and they don't complain. So obviously the international chains see this as a big opportunity, that they know that one day when India gets to that level, the opportunity to earn is a lot. So everybody is interested, and India's role in the global map is very interesting. So they are obviously interested in having that presence. And having worked for the global majors, I do understand that how they operate, but itna aasan nahi hai. It's India. We can do a better job.
Great to hear that. Okay, Tata Consumer, from being a tea company to diversifying in water, now multiple products from makhana to oil, just about every major unorganized category you are now trying to focus on. In terms of innovation and in terms of new product category, 3 years from now, how will Tata Consumer be different?
So, Nikunj, overall, the opportunity that India presents, I mean, irrespective of the category that you look at, I mean, forget FMCG. I mean, it was quoted saying the penetration of cars in India, right? Two-wheelers is, if you benchmark Southeast Asia, we're half of them. Tea, the sector, yeah, you called us a tea company, but even in tea, 1/3 of tea is still unbranded. It's still a long way to go. So irrespective of which track you take, there is huge growth opportunity. I would say in 2 big pieces. One is premiumization is going to be a big focus, and the second is the price value equation, right? So you've got to be very clear when you're crafting your whole product portfolio. You've got to be playing in segments which offer that either the premiumization or the price value equation. Now, if I talk of premiumization very clearly, it has to be brand, it has to be innovation, it has to cater to the health and wellness convenience pieces. So you've got to play those. So we're looking at Tata Tea 1868, which is catering. Yeah, right now it's small, but I think it will grow significantly. We've entered coffee in very, very different formats, including micro lots, including flavored, freeze-dried pods, etc. So one is the premium piece. Second is the price value equation. Now, price value equation again, if you take pulses, if you take makhana, etc., these are broadly commodities, but there is a price value equation to that commodity. And the reason is because as long as you provide differentiated value even within a commodity and put it in a proper brand and build the emotional connect, the consumer is willing to pay. The only thing is you've got to modify your business whole model to make sure that you're able to make money in that segment. Now, that can come with different things. So in commodity spaces, I wouldn't put big capex. I would leverage other co-manufacturing with spare efficiencies, and therefore that's number one. Number two, I would look for where are the inefficiencies and go to the endpoint and therefore start working cost backwards. Number three, freight and logistics is a big thing. So when you look at categories like pulses or basin or water, I mean, freight is a very, very significant. So distributed manufacturing plays a big thing. And lastly, even with across any category when you play, you need to tier this thing. So even at, I mean, whether it's Tata Tea Gold at the highest end or Tata Tea Agni at the lowest end, there is a 10 rupee play. And then there is a 50 gram, 100 gram, there is a 10 rupee. The grammage is different because there is that consumer who always wants that. So across this thing, it will be premium and price value equation categories, categories of scale, and categories where we can create value. And the best part is India, while I said it's a price value play, I think there has been enough demonstrations that even in this market, historically companies have made money. I mean, I think the previous panel alluded to it. Unilever, if I remember right, Hindustan Lever return on assets is about 50% more than the global parent, return on assets, right? Nestle, India's margin is about 40% more than the parent, right? You might call this a low price value market, but there is, if you structure your business models right, there is enormous value to be had.